Well, hello there, and welcome to this episode of The Terri Cole Show. I want to start with a couple of questions. What would you be doing if you were living your best life right now? How would you spend your time? What habits would you have? What habits would you not have? Why aren't you living that version of yourself? So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this episode of The Terri Cole Show, because there are many reasons, conscious and unconscious, that we stay stuck in unhealthy or limiting or unsatisfying behaviors. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the reasons why we do it. I'm going to be talking about the tall poppy syndrome, and I'm also going to be giving you some ideas of how to get the heck out of your own way when it comes to self-sabotage. So before we get into it, if you don't know me, welcome. My name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the author of Boundary Boss and the upcoming book, Too Much, coming out October 15th, all about high-functioning codependency. I think you guys are going to love it. I wrote it for you. So before we get started, if you are new to this channel, introduce yourself, say hello. We are a friendly bunch in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified when I roll out new stuff, which is every Tuesday and every Thursday. And hey, you guys, if you like the show, if you like this YouTube channel and you watch it a lot, subscribe, please. The statistics of how many people watch consistently and don't subscribe, it's kind of weird. So I'm asking you straight up, subscribe, because it helps me. The more numbers I have, it's better for me and my business. And this is a free service that I do for you because I love you. All right. I want to say thank you for all the questions and the comments. I appreciate everything that you guys write and share, and I love to highlight them. So this is from Anne of Hearts, and it's under the video, The Truth About Mother Wounds and 3 Ways to Heal. And Anne says, your words are so soothing. XOXO. It's like I drop into this relaxed state of feeling okay with myself. It's so sweet. There's no pressure to be, just receive. Oh, Anne, I feel like you might just choke me up a little bit with that comment. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to tell the truth about how you feel. It really does warm my heart. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's move it on into today's episode. So let's talk about what you'd be doing, right? I want you to think about the things that you're not doing in your life or things that you feel disappointed about in your life. And why are there behaviors, perhaps, that you can't stop doing, even though you say you want to stop doing them. It could be you say that you want to be in better physical shape. It could be you want to stop binging Netflix. It could be you want to stop smoking weed. It could be a lot of things, right? But whatever your circumstance, there's lots of reasons why we stay stuck. And that's not just for me. That's other people think so too. So it's not because you're crazy and not because you love to be miserable. There's an actual psychological device at work for many of us. So self-sabotage is something that we do, but we do it for a reason. And so in today's episode, I'm going to be helping you identify where you're self-sabotaging, help break down the why of it. I'm going to be talking about Gay Hendricks' work because he actually has some great, 4 steps that he really believes create this, what he calls an upper limit problem. And this is in his book, The Big Leap. That came out a bunch of years ago. So an upper limit problem basically means that when you start to groove, you start to flow, right? Abundance, expansion, you're doing your thing, you're in your wheelhouse, you're in your zone, everything is going, that we have a natural instinct, according to Gay Hendricks, to contract. A natural instinct to want to sort of keep the status quo. So I wonder if you feel that, if you identify with that. I can personally say, fact, this is long before I read or knew anything about Gay Hendricks. I could see that in my own life, every time I got to the next level of either visibility or success or financial abundance, I couldn't stop trying to find a way to pick it up. I have to be honest. There would be a part of me. I was long in recovery by the time 2008 rolled around. And this was the year that my friend Chris Carr was going to be on Oprah, and I was a part of her professional crew, basically. I was the Crazy Sexy Life coach in Crazy Sexy Life. It was a whole thing. Now, this is 2008, you guys. Nobody had websites. There was no online stuff like there is now. And that was the year, as all of this that was happening, that I did what I called a social experiment, quote unquote, which is kind of funny because it wasn't a social experiment at all. It was just me drinking. I decided I would give it a try and see if I could do it moderately. All right, that's an episode unto itself, which I will, but that was 2008, where I was just on the brink of the next level. And even though I drank, and I did, that was my experiment to see if I could drink. And of course, the answer was conclusively, no, you cannot. But it was such a distraction from what was going on. Now, lucky, I'd had a lot of years of sobriety before 2008, since I stopped drinking in 1987, if you could believe that, people. I was in college. But that's like a perfect, clear-cut example of self-sabotage. And because I'm not that self-sabotaging, I managed to scratch my way back from that ledge, get back into recovery, have not had a drink since 2008. Okay, fine. But that's the perfect example of me experiencing an upper limit problem. And as soon as there was all of this visibility happening or potentially happening, I needed to contract. And I did. And I just feel blessed that it didn't ruin my life, because it so easily could have. Like my marriage, everything. It could have just taken everything that mattered. What they say in the rooms is that anything you put above your sobriety, you lose. And I firmly believe that. And I'm lucky, for me, it was only a 2-week experiment. Not even, it was 10 days total before I was like, oh yeah, this shit is going to ruin my life. Like, actually, I'll never write a book. I'll never do anything but think about drinking if I continue on this path. So yeah, I will do a solo episode on that for any of you who are interested in hearing the actual story and the actual scratching my way back, because it was not easy scratching my way back, but I did. Anyway, let's go back to the hidden barriers, right? So we're talking, again, this is Gay Hendricks' work, the hidden barriers that trigger this upper limit problem, as he calls it. So the first hidden barrier, according to Gay, is feeling fundamentally flawed, right? So it's basically like, I cannot expand to my full self, my full potential, because something is fundamentally wrong with me. There is that feeling. So there is an article where Gay talks about a man who sabotaged this business deal that he had going that would have been amazing for him. He was going to acquire this smaller company. And the reason he canned the deal was over vacation time, right? And it took this guy a couple of years, ruminating about why he did what he did. Why did he kill that deal that would have been so beneficial for him? And he realized what he'd really been saying inside unconsciously was, your offer is way too good for me. I am not worth that. So he found a way to get rid of it. This is also, and you guys may have this experience in relationships. Have you ever done this? Where you're in a relationship with someone that you almost think is out of your league, or you're afraid they're going to ditch you. So you just find a way to ditch them first. You just find a way. You just figure it out. You're like, I'm going to go, so I'm not the one being left. I'm going to find a reason. I'm going to provoke them into doing something, or whatever it is, because I see this all the time in my therapy practice with people. Okay, hidden barrier number 2. Disloyalty and abandonment. So the feeling and the fear is, if I become very successful, I will end up being alone or being disloyal to my family. I will end up leaving people behind from my past. And that shit is real. So disloyalty and abandonment, that is the hidden barrier number 2. And, Gay talks about it, and I agree that a lot of times this is family stuff, right? We're breaking the unspoken, the silent agreements in our family of like, who's going to do what? How successful will we be? What is our collective thoughts about success or people who have money? Because there's so many ways that gets in the way of us being able to expand. And when you really think about it, women in particular, right? This is something that there's a whole cultural vibe about what we should be doing as women, even now. Even though we couldn't have a credit card on our own until 1973, I think it was. I mean, think about that, you guys. I feel like the younger generation does not really understand how not far away that is. In 1973 was the first time a woman could get a credit card without having a male co-signer. Can we just let that shit sink in, please? So these roots of what we should be doing, they really run deep. So I think that taking risks and separating from family of origin stuff, or sort of separating and individuating, if we were talking about it from a psychotherapeutic point of view, is something that can be even more challenging for women because we're so identified. Our connections are such important parts of our identification as humans, you know? All right, hidden barrier number 3. Believing that more success will bring bigger burdens. It's like looking at it like it's going to be even more of a hassle than the hard work I'm doing now. It's going to be exhausting. And we hear this notion, right? More money, more problems in life, when we're out there in the world. There is a thought that success creates more burden. I have it myself. The more successful I've become, the more responsible you feel. And on my good days, I feel great to have that responsibility. And then on rough days, or when I'm exhausted, or when I feel burnt out, or when I'm cognitively fatigued, or I have decision fatigue, or all the things, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? It's funny. This became very evident for me when I was writing the Too Much book coming out in October. It was a rough road. It was hard. And I remember actually having thoughts. I've talked about this a little bit on some of the other shows, but having this thought of like, why would I choose a life with so much visibility? What the hell is wrong with me? It's exhausting. You can never rest. You can never, And of course, as soon as I finished the book and got through that and realized, okay, I wrote the book I wanted to write. Yes, it was harder and different than the first one, but I got it done. Of course, those thoughts weren't there. But it was like this part of me that was so afraid to fail. That was like, why would you put a target on your back like that to have people be critical of what you're doing or whatever, Anyway, so I kind of get that barrier that in a way, more success brings a bigger burden. Of course, it brings more joy and more freedom too, especially if you're creating financial freedom. And then the hidden barrier number 4 is the crime of outshining, right? So if I do better than, yes, my parents, but in a way, it really is if I do better than my siblings, if I do better than my partner, what will happen? And I think that I always talk about fear of success and fear of failure as two sides to the same coin, and that coin is fear of change. And it's like we don't want to lose our relationships. We don't want to lose the way things are. And this is absolutely something that I've dealt with in my life, and why, before I met Vic, I had specifically said I want someone with their own big career so that they won't be threatened by my big career, because I'd had that experience in the past. And I loved that Vic had and has a huge career and is extremely successful and very well celebrated as an artist in what he does. Because when it's his show, I get to be in the front row, cheering him on like a wild maniac. And then when it's my show, he's doing the same thing, and so proud and so happy and so excited. But I've never once in all the 27 years we've been together felt like Vic begrudged me my success or was anything but elated and excited, and then rearranges his life to make my life easier so I can do what I'm doing. Whether it's the podcast, whether it's books, whether it's traveling. And so I knew I needed someone who wasn't going to be threatened by my success. But I do see this in my therapy practice as a major problem for women in particular. If I outshine my partner, how will they feel? And then you also, in other cultures in particular, less in the US, but there's the tall poppy syndrome, which I think is very English. I think it's Australian too, where it's like, don't stand out, right? Don't be big, because people will come after you. And we see it culturally, but it's like, the big poppy syndrome means the tall poppy is the one that gets cut down, right? And we see this for women in particular, very different. The double standard is alive and well. We know this for sure in all industries. we see it, it's still happening. And it's like, if you are a woman and you shine too much, or you feel good about your accomplishments, or you talk about your accomplishments, you will be annihilated online. Like, it's just horrible. Where, with men bragging, that we expect them to. Everyone's like, yeah, I mean, look at Cassius Clay back in the day, right? Just, I'm the best. I'm the, and everyone was like, yeah, right on. And if that was a woman, they'd be like, what the hell is wrong with you? So anyway, I think that these are very helpful. All this you guys will find in the guide, terricole.com/guide. But these are things that I want you to think about. And the last thing I'm going to talk about and offer as a way in for you to have a deeper understanding of why you might be self-sabotaging. First, I'm going to help you identify, where are you dealing with an upper limit problem, right? Where are you feeling like you've got to stay small, making yourself stay small, getting in your own way? So we'll identify that, and then I'll give you the questions in the guide. We're going to walk through the secondary gain questions, because the thing is, we're not doing anything for no reason whatsoever. It's just not the way human beings are. So the secondary gain questions, and many of you use them already, I know, and if you've been in my crew for a while, I've been talking about this for years, but it's a way that we can identify what's really going on. So secondary gain is the unobvious gain. What do we get by staying stuck? And the questions are, what do I get to not face? What do I get to not feel? What do I get to not experience by staying stuck here? Right? So we could look at it as an example. If you are a woman in a job, and you have the opportunity to go to the next level of success, and yet you know that would threaten your partner. You know that you getting that bump in money now would put you making more money than them. There's a part of you that may turn down that raise, that promotion, because you don't want to rock the boat at home. So we understand, what do I get to not feel, not face, not experience by staying stuck here? Is I get to not feel the wrath of my partner. I get to not threaten my partner. So a lot of times you may not even be going for the promotion for that reason, unconsciously, because it keeps you in sort of a small container, right? We're not expanding, but we're not expanding for specific reasons, right? Because we want to stay safe. So anyway, all the information that you need to get moving on this is in the guide, terricole.com/guide. I hope that this episode really shed some light for you on where you might be getting in your own way, and having compassion. When you go through the guide, have compassion for yourself as to why you may be feeling this way, why you may not want to be the tall poppy, right? You might have had childhood experiences as well that put you in the position of wanting to just blend in. Let's not look at this from the point of view of like, what's wrong with me? We're always looking at it from the point of view of a compassionate inquiry, right? Let's just be curious about why, as opposed to making ourselves feel bad about why. All right, I'd love to find out what you find out. So you know where to find me, most on Instagram, or go to terricole.com. Tell me what you learned about yourself. I can't wait to find out.